Hi everyone, welcome to this month's video on how to adapt to change. And before you think, yes, I'm in a different place, so welcome to my new office. I'm now running everything from Bulgaria. So I have all set up and looking nice and tidy. Even the floor's tidy now. There's not all stuff across it where I was hiding stuff before from the cameras. So yeah, but the change has been happening a lot for me lately. So we're going to talk about this because I know a lot of people, it's been coming up quite a lot. And with some of the stuff I do with working with the corporate world and everything, people are really struggling with adapting to change. So this is a workshop talk I'd done with some of the corporate stuff. So I thought I'd share it with you in the membership group because actually it had a good response with it. So let me get up my, where are we? Let's share my screen, sorry. So here we go. There we go. So yeah, today we're talking about why we struggle with change, where it comes from, and the mindset patterns that we create to stop ourselves actually coping. Also, how we can deal with it and increase our adaptability to change, because that is something we have to do to actually adapt to it. So how do you feel about change? Are you someone that embraces it? Or do you avoid it? Do you hide from it? Do you get stressed about it? Because we are all very, very different. Some of us don't like change at all. We like things to stay the same, everything to be in this neat little box. And when they've got that, they feel we have control. Then there's others that actually enjoy and thrive off a change. They like the challenge. And any of you that know me, you know that's me. I seem to just go with it and deal with all the change. And actually, I've realized over the years that's the thing I enjoy. I enjoy all the new challenges that come with it. But there is actually no set pattern to the way some of us adapt to change more than others. People who have dealt with change a lot can sometimes find it a lot easier, but then there's also others that avoid change because they had a lot of it in their childhood and it didn't feel it was positive, and they want the complete opposite. I come from a family where change never really happened. They liked everything to be in the same routine and the safeness of that routine. Change is scary because it was something different. And as a child, we were told that not to do things because it could go wrong. I know now that was their fears being said to us. But my brother took that on board, and it's actually quite similar. I'm not saying it's wrong, but he sort of followed through with that. And then there was me that couldn't be any more different to the three of them. I used to say I was adopted, or I was the milkman's, because I do everything completely different. And I don't do it to rebel. Or because I was told not to. It was none of that. It was just, I've always wanted to see and do other things. I think it was just my dreams, and it's what drove me. And to me, it was just quite simple to do that, meaning achieve my goals. I needed to do A, B, and C to get there. And I never saw it as change. I just saw it as something that I needed to do. So I'm not saying either that I wasn't scared. There's been plenty of times I've been scared, but being scared is part of the process for me. But I know that's not most people, and they're not all like that. You know, and there's even sometimes when I don't like doing things, you know, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that change. Or when there's a emotion behind something, as in a task or something, you know, I will struggle and I'll find excuses. And I also get frightened and angry in, you know, in situations because you go into panic about it. But when we actually start looking at change, to start with, there are two types of change. There is change that we need to do to get and achieve something, or there's change that's happened to us and we didn't actually choose it, like the pandemic. You know, there was a lot of change going on with that, and people are having to change now. Some of it is because they've realized they want to change their life, and some of it is that life's just different now, so there's change. You know, some is that they're not in the office so much, so they're having to work from home and adapt into that. Even though after all this time, they're still having to adapt to it with kids and children, and how does it work in their house, you know? Or is it that we actually realize that we really liked the peace and quietness, so let's change because we liked the positive that come out of a change. So they're both very different, but we can get stuck on both of the types of changes. So what happens to you when you have to face change? Do you get stuck and I can't talk, can I today? Procrastinate? Do you become too busy to deal with everything that needs to be done to help with that change? Or do you start self-sabotaging? A lot of the time we don't even realize when we're self-sabotaging. It's not until you look back, you go, oh my God, did I really do that? But it is something that we can do quite easily, is that we create a situation for it not to happen, so then the change doesn't happen, and then we can get stuck back in our situation. Or do you just get the feeling of overwhelm and then you start panicking and stress and anxiety kicks in? Or do you get angry? Or do you blame others? And when we go into them, we're in our threat. The threat is fear and ego. We feel threatened. Sometimes we're in a situation when things change and our emotions go into fear. Then our mind uses our ego to protect us. So it's protecting us from getting things wrong and making mistakes, looking silly and not being perfect. And it protects us from that feeling of not being good enough to do it. We can have emotions attached to our tasks, but when the ego kicks in, it isn't helping us, it's actually stopping us. And when we're aware of that, we can actually then shift what's going on. Because we can stay in safe patterns and stay the same. And we're not saying it's wrong if you're happy, but sometimes we can be using those safe things to just stop ourselves, like I said, self-sabotaging or just the fear, so we keep ourselves there. But if you're happy and you're not miserable of that situation, then that's fine, you don't need it. But what happens when you are in that, to some unexpected things that happen in life, and we have to adapt to the change. When we deal and adapt with change, it will help us to move forward. And the great thing about it is that it's not in our DNA, it's not in our genetics. We can actually learn and adapt to it, because so many of us think, oh no, I can't do that because I've never been able to, like my parents didn't, you know, all those things. That isn't the case. It is something we learn to do. We are learned to adapt to it. And when we actually realize this, we can all cope with it. We can all go through change. No one says it's easy. No one's saying that you sail through it, but we can adapt and deal with it and just learn to cope with it. So like we said, we've got the T, which is our threat, and we go into threat when we don't understand. So when we're not understanding the situation, we're in our threat and we feel lost. And when we go into change, we can feel quite lost. We feel like, you know, we're feeling quite wobbly, you know, and that's when the mind goes into the fear and the panic and our ego starts kicking in. But if we use our PIR, our purpose, our I'm not going to be able to say this one today, am I? Oh, no, I'm not going to say it. It's gone. We're inquisitive, our inquisitive. No, not saying it, am I? And our resilience. We can then help build this, because our purpose is what we want, our goal, our dream, our who we really truly are, our inner child. Being inquisitiveness is asking and learning, and, you know, being brave enough to ask that silly question, because you might think it's silly or stupid or whatever words. I mean, I don't like those words, but, you know, I'm trying to describe what it is. We're going to think it's the wrong question, but it's not. It's the one that's going to give us the answer. And when we got the answer, we understand. When we understand, we don't feel in the fear. So you've got your purpose, you've got a real thing to drive you. You then learning and understanding, which is giving you a bit more grounding. And then realizing resilience is learning from our mistakes. So instead of having the fear that you're going to do it wrong, it's just like, well, actually, that if I get that wrong, that's giving me a step further and I understand how to do it better. So we need to retrain the mind. So adaptability is our P plus I plus R divided by our threat, our T. So let's put it another way. When we increase and develop our PIR, we decrease and reduce our threat. And then we can learn to deal with change. We can learn to adapt. I'm going to say that again. When we increase and develop our PIR, we decrease and reduce our threat. To adapt, we need our mindset on board. We need to retrain our mind. I've talked about this a lot with a lot of things. It's just re-looking at things. This you've heard before from me. The stress of change is wanting the present moment to be something it's not. So the stress of change is wanting the present moment to be something it's not. And the anxiety of change is getting stuck in the stress narrative and the narrative of what might go wrong. When we understand that's what it is and we can take that away, we can actually move forward. So retraining our mind. for the number one change, the change that we need to do to get and achieve things, one of the first things we need to do is stop using the word busy. We hear it all the time. I'm too busy to do because, or I'm busy, I can't do. Also, you can say, oh God, I had such a busy week, or I had such a busy day today. Or, oh my God, look at my diary, I've got so much on. So we're starting with this negative, you know, we're looking at it in the wrong way. Instead of looking at it because we want to achieve something, you know, I had a really productive day today and I'm X amount of steps closer to what I want to achieve. When we're taking the busyness away, we don't feel that it's a weight and it's draining us. We're seeing it as a way forward. We feel lighter with it and we can move on. And I think it's just become a word that's been chucked out there all the time, because we can choose to be busy. We don't have to do everything. So which then brings us into the next thing. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Do I need to be doing it? You know, because am I doing this why am I doing this? Am I making myself busy so I don't do A, B, and C, which is going to achieve my goal or my dream? Am I doing this to divert me? And another question to ask is, does this help me achieve my goal? And if it's a no, when you want to get somewhere, then don't do it. It might be, well, no, but it has to be done. That's fine. Then you look at it in a different way. You're not going to see yourself as just busy. When we put in things in and going here and doing that and loads of other stuff and long lists of things just for the sake of it, we're not achieving the goal. Come back to what you want to achieve and your dream and where you're going. Another thing to do, which we all should learn to do, is ask for help. Ask for help in the ways as in, can you help me because I have too much on? And also ask for help as in, I don't understand to do this and it's stopping me getting where I want to be. Can you help me? Also learn to delegate. Pass some of the other stuff off that's busy. You know, especially as women, we can take on doing all the stuff with the kids and our partners and husbands and this and that and work and this, and then trying to fit in our time for us. And the thing, do you need to be doing it all, or is it okay that your kids are picking up their own washing or putting the washing on, or can they be making dinner for you one night a week so you have time to achieve what you need to achieve? So again, check. Am I taking on too much? The next one is accept that you will make mistakes and learn from them. There's a quote that says, when I make a mistake, when I do something wrong once, it's a mistake. When I keep repeating it, it's a decision. We look at it, learn from it. Mistakes aren't failures and disasters. Mistake is, I'm a step closer to know I don't do it like this and I'm going to work out the next way to do it. They are stepping stones. And also know your purpose. So your P for your PIR, have your purpose, know what it is you want and why you want it. So you can refocus on that when you go off track, and that will help you achieve your goal or your dream. So they're the things for retraining the mind for when we want to get and achieve something. And retraining the mind when we have change that happens to us and we haven't chosen it. the first thing you need to do is allow yourself to go through the emotion. You need to go through the shock, the anger, the frustration, the fear, the loss, whatever it is. But when you go through that emotion, experience it. But when you've gone through that experience, you need to learn to let go of it so you don't get stuck. So when we get stuck there, we're back in that stopping ourselves, coping. It is part of the process. Go through it and move on. The next thing we have to do is accept that it has changed, because it has. So you've gone through your emotion, and when you let go, you then accept it. I'm not telling you that you have to like it, but you have to accept it. Because when we accept it, we can then look at what we need to do and what needs to be done to move forward. So when we accept, we can look at what needs to be done to move forward. And then as we move forward, look at the positives to the change, because there always will be. I'm still saying there can be sadness and upset. So it can be down to a trauma, an illness, a loss of someone. Coming out the other side, there is something. It is different because things have changed, and that's the accepting. And when you can accept, it's because you're not wanting the present moment to be something it's not. Excuse me. So we accept that. We see how it is. We see the positive. We're not saying that it is the same. We're saying it's different, and this is where I am now. So remember, we need to increase and develop our PIR so we can decrease and reduce our threat. We can learn to deal with change. We can learn to adapt. I hope this helped and you got some tips from it. Please write underneath if there is anything you want to share, or you want to say about what you've got from it, or if you feel that there's any comments and you need to have a bit more of an understanding, please let me know. I'd love your feedback, and I hope you're all well and enjoying your day. Take care. Bye.